Thanks for watching JabscoTech.com. I'm Jeff Lander.
And I'm Mike Irving.
And today we're going to show you how to install a new pump assembly on your manual toilet.
You're going to need some tools. What do you need?
Well, Mike, Phillips has a screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. I just have a flathead screwdriver, installed into a drill, a drill bit to make it quicker. And one more thing, either a bucket or a pan for some residual waste and water in your hose line.
Yeah, the Phillips head, we actually have a pretty long one because it makes it a little bit easier getting down into there. The precautions, what do we need?
Well, Mike, first things first, close your inlet and discharge seacocks.
Yep.
The other thing is, too, make sure you're wearing gloves because you might be coming in contact with some human waste in the discharge hose line, some residual waste in there, so always better to be sanitary and wear gloves. And the other thing, too, part number for this, 29040-3000. It will replace all current twist and lock, gray handle, and black handle manual toilets.
Well, what do you say? You want to get to it?
Let's do it, Mike. So before we get started, I'm going to show you what comes in the packaging. So here is a brand new pump assembly with discharge elbow installed. And also what comes in the packaging is a base valve gasket and an extra screw. Now the screw isn't necessary, it's complementary, and it goes actually on the housing of the discharge elbow. So this little flathead screw, sometimes people lose them and want to replace them. Like I said, that flathead screw, complementary, not necessary, goes on this discharge elbow. Now they're ready to get started. What we're going to do is make sure we close all applicable seacocks, the discharge seacock as well as the inlet seacock. And now we can go ahead and disconnect this top hose, which runs from the top of the pump assembly to the back of the bowl spud. Now, before I do this, you may want to have a pan or a bucket handy because there may be some residual water in here. So go ahead and disconnect that, and that will free up access to the pump assembly. Next step, this is the hose that runs to your seacock. This fitting at the 45-degree angle. Again, have your bucket or pan ready for some residual water that may be in this hose line. So we'll go ahead and pop that off. And now you've got a couple of options. You can either put this on as a direct replacement and remove your discharge hose, or what I recommend to people is to leave the discharge hose actually on the elbow and then remove the elbow from the pump assembly. Now what that will do is that will facilitate making the install, leaving the seal on the elbow tighter, because once you pull the discharge elbow off, it may be tough to put it back on. So for the case of this, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the elbow. So go ahead. The discharge elbow is exposed. And now what you can do is when you go put the new pump assembly on, you can replace the joker valve as well. Okay, since we took the discharge elbow off, now we need to go ahead and replace the joker valve. So go ahead, slide it out of your existing discharge elbow, discard appropriately. Now what we have to do is take the joker valve out of our new pump assembly. So there's one screw. Two screws. So this will expose the new joker valve. Simply slide it out and put it into our old discharge elbow with the triangular side facing down. So now that we swapped the joker valve, we're going to go ahead and take off the pump assembly and swap that out now. So with our Phillips head screwdriver, go ahead and loosen these 4 Phillips head screws. And what this will do is this will expose the base valve gasket so we can swap that out in the process. So there we go, almost done. Go ahead and collect your screws. remove the old pump assembly. And now we're going to go ahead and take our new vase valve and replace it. So again, this can only go on one way with the bump facing up. Take off the old base valve gasket, discard appropriately. And now what we're going to do, bump facing up, we have to match these 3 pillars with these 3 cutouts on the base valve gasket. Like I said, it can only go on one way. So go ahead, slide that down, take the new pump assembly, put it on top. And go ahead and start screwing it down. Now one little tip, you can go ahead and finish the other 3 screws, but one little tip is don't crank these screws into the plastic super hard because you'll run the risk of cracking that plastic. Nominal hand tightness should do. So the last thing to do is attach our existing discharge elbow with hose still attached. Now just be careful because this is a 2-piece assembly and this will rotate on you. Now it's okay to rotate it because it is fully rotatable 360 degrees, to help facilitate installation, but just be aware of that. So with the 2-piece connection, go ahead, mate it up with a pump assembly, and you should hear it slide in. Now while holding it, take our 2 flathead screws and go ahead. Now I don't go super tight with these because you run the risk of cracking the plastic. So what I'll do is I'll get a couple of threads in there and then I will finish the job with a regular screwdriver. So the final thing is just reconnect the hoses. So again, this top fitting connects to the back of the bowl spud with this hose right here. So go ahead and slide that on. And now this angled fitting, this 45-degree angle fitting, is the connection to your water source, seacock. So go ahead and slide that hose back on there. And congratulations, we've successfully swapped out a new pump assembly.
So that was pretty good. What do we say, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I hit that, Mike.
One little note on the side, make sure you leave this in the unlocked position because the design of this unit, it puts pressure on that base valve gasket, forcing that gasket to stay closed. When you do the reassembly, it just makes it a little bit harder. So put it all together and then you can go ahead and lock it down and you should be good to go. Any other tips that we need to cover?
No, Mike, that was a good tip that you just gave him. I think this wraps it up, Mike. What do you think?
I think we're good to go. It's a pretty easy thing. Phillips head screwdriver, flathead if you need it.
And then a pan or a bucket for some residual waste and water that might be in your hose line.
Gloves. Don't forget the gloves. The big thing. We're coming in contact with some of the icky stuff. I'm good. You?
I'm good, Mike.
Thanks a lot for watching this episode of Jabsco Tech. I'm Mike Irving.
And I'm Jeff Lander.
Thanks a lot. We're going to have more coming at you.